Life is not short. It is only wasted by us. Seneca. Let me ask you a question. Are you really living? Or are you just repeating yesterday? On loop for the last 10 years. Think about it. You wake up, check your phone, rush through breakfast, work, scroll, work, scroll again. Maybe a little entertainment, maybe a little distraction, and then it's night again. Another day, gone. You tell yourself, I'm busy. But busy doesn't always mean alive. Being occupied is not the same as being present, and movement is not the same as meaning. If you've ever felt like your days are blurring into each other, if you've ever wondered where the last 6 months, 1 year, or 5 years have gone, if there's a quiet voice inside you whispering, this can't be it, then this video is for you. We live in an age of constant noise, constant demands, but few ever stop to ask the question, what am I really doing with my time? This isn't about productivity. It's not about success in the eyes of others. It's about one thing, living deliberately. The ancient philosopher Seneca once said, it's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. So before we go any further, pause. Look at your life right now, not with guilt, not with regret, but with awareness. Because today, you and I, we're going to explore a question that could change everything. Are you truly living or just existing? Chapter 1. The Illusion of Time. Guard each moment. Let me tell you a story. He was 34, a founder, smart, ambitious. He had a great team, raised solid funding, and built a product people actually used. He lived in a clean, modern apartment with a skyline view. His life, from the outside, looked exactly how success is supposed to look. Meetings, strategy, deadlines, hires, growth. He worked 12 hours a day, sometimes more, not because he had to, but because it felt necessary. He was in motion, always. And yet, one night, he sat alone on the balcony, drink in hand, eyes glazed over the city lights. He wasn't sad. He wasn't tired. But something was off. And he whispered to himself, almost in disbelief, I don't think I'm really living. He didn't know why he said it, but the words were real. And they hit hard. It wasn't burnout. It wasn't depression. It was something quieter, more subtle, a slow drift away from himself. That's the trap. We think time is something we lose in big, obvious moments, crises, catastrophe, unexpected events. But the truth? Time slips through us in the tiny, invisible ways. We trade our mornings for urgency, our evenings for escape, our weekends for catching up, our presence for productivity. And we never really question it, because everyone around us is doing the same thing. Everyone's busy. Everyone's grinding. Ask anyone how they're doing, and the answer is always the same. Busy, so busy. As if being busy means we're doing something right. As if a full calendar is a full life. But is it? We check every box, reply to every message, meet every demand, and still, we go to bed feeling like we missed something. You ever get that feeling? Like the day passed through you, not with you. Like you're moving forward, but not really going anywhere. Like you're alive, but not awake. There's no crisis, no breakdown. Just this quiet, hollow ache that says, this isn't it. And here's the scary part. Most people live like that for years, even decades. And they don't realize it until it's too late to get that time back. Seneca warned us about this 2,000 years ago. He said, it's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. We guard our money. We lock our doors. We protect our passwords. But time, we give it away like it's worthless. We scroll mindlessly, say yes to things we don't believe in, stay in jobs that drain us, entertain people who don't see us. And we call it normal because it looks like everyone else's life. But just because it's normal doesn't mean it's real, doesn't mean it's living. We're not short on time. We're short on presence, on purpose, on clarity. We wake up each day and step into noise, into schedules we didn't design, into tasks we don't question. And we wonder why we feel so disconnected. Maybe you've felt it too. That creeping sense that your days are full, but your soul is empty. It's not a failure. It's not weakness. It's the cost of never stopping to ask, what am I really doing with my life? So let's start there. Not with productivity hacks, not with fun management tools, but with honesty. Because nothing changes until we're brave enough to tell the truth. I've been busy, but I haven't really been here. And the moment we see that, really see it, is the moment we get to choose something else. This is where it begins. Not with a to-do list, but with a pause, a breath, and the decision to wake up. Chapter 2. The Art of Living Forgotten. No one teaches you how to live. They teach you how to memorize, how to pass, how to please, how to follow instructions, how to chase results. But no one, no teacher, no school, no system, ever sits you down and asks, what do you want your time on this earth to actually feel like? Instead, you're handed a template. Wake up, study, graduate, get a job, get promoted, buy things, impress people, stay productive, stay busy, and maybe, just maybe, if you're lucky, you'll feel alive somewhere along the way. But most people don't. Most people aren't living their life. They're renting it from the expectations of others. Your calendar isn't yours. Your dreams aren't yours. Your decisions, big and small, are often echoes of what you've been told is smart, safe, or successful. And slowly, you lose the ability to ask the simplest question, what do I want? Let's pause here. Why does this happen? Why do so many of us, even when we're smart, educated, capable, end up feeling so directionless? It's because we were taught everything except how to live. We were taught to chase, but not to choose. To succeed, but not to feel. To run, but not to ask where. No one ever taught us to be still. To sit with a day. To ask, does this matter to me? To protect the hours, the moments, the inner world we carry. So instead, we live outwardly. We match our pace to the world around us. And we mistake movement for meaning. But here's the truth. The people who actually live, who feel their life deeply, intentionally, they move differently. They say no more often. They don't rush just because others are rushing. They know that value isn't in what impresses others, but in what nourishes the soul. You feel it when you meet them. There's a calm, a presence. They're not chasing time. They're working with it. They're not productive for the sake of it. They're selective. They know that living isn't something you earn by doing more. It's something you claim by doing less, but better. They're not superhuman. They've just woken up. They've remembered that time is not a resource. It's the raw material of your life. You don't spend time. You become what you give your time to. And that brings us to the hardest truth of all. Most of us confuse doing with living. We think if we check all the boxes, keep moving, stay busy, we're on the right path. But doing more doesn't mean you're going somewhere meaningful. You can achieve 1,000 things and still not know who you are. You can be admired by the world and feel invisible to yourself. It means asking questions no one else can answer for you. And then, little by little, to start building your life around the answers, instead of continuing to chase what never felt real to begin with. You were never meant to live someone else's timeline. You were never meant to measure your worth by how fast you respond, how full your inbox is, how little you sleep. You were meant for something deeper, not bigger, not louder, just truer. So if you've ever felt like you're behind or lost or unsure where to go next, maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're finally asking the right questions. And maybe that's the beginning of actually living. Chapter 3. Busy, the cloak of avoidance. Ask anyone how they're doing these days, and the answer rolls off like muscle memory. I'm busy. So busy. Busy. It's become a reflex, like saying fine or good. But busyness isn't just a status update anymore. It's a badge. A way of saying, I matter. I'm important. My life is full. We wear busy, like it's proof that we're doing life right. But here's a question worth asking. Busy with what? We sprint from task to task, call to call, notification to notification. But do we ever pause to ask, is any of this actually living? We fill every gap in our day with something. Scrolling, working, replying, rushing. Being still feels wrong, like we're falling behind. But what if busy isn't the success signal we think it is? What if it's just a distraction? A noise we hide behind so we don't have to what's the silence? The truth is, most of us aren't busy because life demands it. We're busy because we've forgotten how not to be. We don't know how to sit still. We don't know how to rest without guilt. We don't know how to say no. So we keep saying yes to projects, plans, people, until we're drowning in a sea of obligations we didn't choose. And the worst part? Somewhere along the way, we started mistaking movement for meaning. The more we move, the more alive we must be, right? But deep down, something doesn't feel right. We lie and fall at night, exhausted, but not fulfilled. We check off 100 tasks, but none of them felt real. The days blur together. We lose track of why we started. We say, I'll slow down next week, but next week never comes. It's like we're stuck in this invisible race we didn't sign up for, chasing goals we never questioned, trying to outrun a feeling we can't quite name. That's not life. That's autopilot. And the more we run, the more we lose sight of what we're running from. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Being busy doesn't mean you're going the right way. You can be very efficient at the wrong thing. You can be successful by someone else's definition. You can look like you're thriving while quietly falling apart. Busy is not a life strategy. It's a beautiful lie, one that makes you feel accomplished, even when you are completely disconnected. It numbs you. It keeps you distracted. It delays the questions that matter. Because if you stop moving, you might have to face yourself. And that's scary. But here's what's even scarier. Waking up 10 years from now and realizing you never actually lived. You just responded, reacted, obliged. You were available to everyone except yourself. So what's the alternative? It's not quitting your job or escaping to a cabin in the woods. It's something harder. It's choosing to live with intention, to pause before saying yes, to question the rush, to protect your time like it's sacred, because it is. It's realizing that your value isn't measured by how many things you juggle, but by how deeply you engage with what truly matters. It's saying, I'm not going to fill every minute just because I can. I don't need to be in motion to feel enough. I'd rather live meaningfully than just constantly. It's learning that slowing down isn't falling behind. It's coming back to yourself. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to prove your worth through exhaustion. You don't have to be busy to be valuable. You're allowed to do less, to protect your peace, to reclaim your life from the lie of busy. Because the most powerful thing you can say in a world addicted to urgency is this: no, I choose presence over pressure, depth over speed, life over noise. And sometimes doing nothing is the bravest thing you can do. Chapter 4. To be here, the discipline of presence. What does it actually feel like to be present? Not just alive in theory, but fully here. Mind, body, breath, soul. In a world that moves at the speed of a scroll, where silence feels uncomfortable and stillness is rare, presence has become an endangered state of being. But let me tell you a story. I once met a man, late 30s, kind eyes, calm energy. He wasn't rich, not in the traditional sense, but there was something magnetic about him, a groundedness, like he wasn't trying to be anywhere else. Over coffee, he told me something that changed the way I look at life. He said, "I only use my phone for 30 minutes a day." I almost laughed. "Wait, 30 minutes total?" He nodded. No social media, no endless scrolling, no background noise while walking or eating. Just essentials. Messages, maps, maybe a call. He didn't say it with pride or superiority. He said it like someone who had seen the other side, the anxious, distracted, overstimulated side, and simply decided to come home to himself. I asked him what a day in his life looked like. He smiled, then described something that sounded almost poetic. He wakes up before the sun. No alarm, no screen, just the soft light of morning brushing against the curtain. He makes tea, slowly. No rush, no podcast in the background, just the sound of water boiling, the scent of herbs rising in the air. Then he sits on the balcony. 15 minutes, just watching. The sky shift from dark blue to gold, birds cutting through the silence, the city waking up. Later, when he walks to work, he leaves his headphones in his pocket. He listens to footsteps, conversations, leaves in the wind. Not because they're interesting, but because they're real. He works like most of us do. Emails, meetings, to-do lists. But he builds small rituals into his day. A moment of stillness before opening his laptop. Closing his eyes for one deep breath after each task. He's not trying to optimize every second. He's trying to feel them. He told me, it's not about being slow. It's about being with what's happening, instead of always trying to get somewhere else. That stayed with me, because the truth is, most of us are never really here. We're always slightly ahead or slightly behind, reliving something from yesterday or planning for something tomorrow. We eat while watching. We walk while texting. We talk while checking the clock. We split our attention into 1,000 pieces and wonder why nothing feels whole. We call it multitasking. But what it really is fragmenting. Presence isn't just about turning off your phone. It's about tuning in to what your hands are doing, what your breath is saying, to the way sunlight hits your skin at 4:07 p.m. on a random Tuesday. It's about noticing the in-between moments, the silence before someone speaks, the pause in your chest when you hear a song that reminds you of home, the weight of a mug in your hand, still warm. Tiny things, ordinary things. But that's the secret. Life doesn't happen in the highlights. It happens in the pauses. But presence is not always comfortable. It asks you to feel what you've been avoiding, to face the boredom, the restlessness, the stillness, to stop reaching for stimulation and simply be. And in that being, something beautiful happens. Clarity, peace, depth. You start to hear your own voice again, the one buried under noise and algorithms. You start to realize how loud the world has become and how much you've been missing. Being present doesn't mean quitting the world. It means re-entering it with your eyes open. It means choosing to experience your life instead of just recording it. It means walking slower, breathing deeper, listening fully. It means understanding that the most profound moments are often the ones we skip right past. And most of all, it means reclaiming your time, not by filling it, but by feeling it. So here's a challenge. Pick 1 hour tomorrow. Just one. No multitasking, no screens, no agenda. Just you and the moment you're in. Watch what happens. Watch how loud the silence feels at first. Then watch how comforting it becomes. That's not wasted time. That's you, coming home to your life. Chapter 5. Time, the most precious currency. Imagine if, every morning, you woke up and found $1,440 in your bank account. No rollover, no savings. You either spend it or lose it forever. What would you do? Most people would plan carefully, track every dollar, invest wisely, because money is valuable, right? Now here's the twist. Every single day you do get 1,440. Not dollars, minutes. And just like money, if you don't spend those minutes with intention, they're gone. No refund, no receipt, no do-over. That's your time budget. And unlike money, you can't earn more time. You can't trade for it. You can't borrow it. Once spent, it becomes your life. But here's the paradox. We protect our money like it's sacred and spend our time like it's worthless. We'll argue over $20, but waste 20 minutes without blinking. We'll research the best deal for a gadget, but give away our entire afternoon to things we don't even care about. Why? Because most of us were never taught the true value of time. We were taught to be productive, to stay busy, to get things done. But no one ever asked us, are those things even worth your time? Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." He believed that a wise person does not try to do more. They try to do what matters. Let that sink in. The goal isn't to pack your day full. The goal is to make your time full of meaning. There's a difference. Let's look at two people. Both wake up at 7 a.m. Both go to work. Both come home at 7:00. But one of them lives with intention. The other lives on autopilot. The intentional one starts their day with 15 quiet minutes. No phone, just reflection. They choose 3 things that truly matter and focus deeply. They take breaks not to escape, but to breathe, to reset, to notice life happening. Their time is not packed, but it's full. The other one? They jump out of bed to the sound of notifications. They start reacting before they've even had coffee. Their day is full of tasks, meetings, distractions, interruptions. 12 hours pass, and they can't remember anything they truly felt. It's not that one worked harder. It's that one owned their time. The other gave it away without realizing it. We often think we need more time, but more time isn't the answer. Clarity is. Because when you're clear on what matters, you stop chasing what doesn't. You stop filling your calendar with other people's priorities. You stop treating busy like a badge. You start treating your minutes like gold. You ask, if I only had today, would I spend it like this? That question alone can change everything. So how do you start living like time actually matters? It's not complicated, but it is deliberate. Here's a practice. Every morning before the noise begins, look at your time budget. You have 1,040 minutes. How many will you give away? How many will you invest in what gives you life? How many will you waste on autopilot? Write down the 3 things you want to remember from this day. Not what you want to do, what you want to remember. Then build your day around those moments. Because life isn't just about how much you do. It's about how much you feel, grow, love, connect, breathe. The metrics that truly matter can't be measured by productivity apps. You are the accountant of your time. No one else can spend it for you. No one else is responsible for what it becomes. So guard it. Choose wisely. Be ruthless with what doesn't matter, and generous with what does. Because your time is not just how you spend your day. It's how you shape your soul. Chapter 6. Order the life, not just the labor. Here's a radical idea. Your life schedule is not your work schedule. And yet, for most people, they're exactly the same. We plan meetings, we set deadlines, We block time for calls, emails, goals, deliverables. But where in your calendar does life happen? Where is the time for rest? Not as recovery, but as a ritual. Where is the time for being, not just doing? Where is the space for art, silence, connection, laughter? We treat life like it's supposed to fit in, around the edges of productivity. But what if that's completely backward? Here's the conflict. We've been sold a story that if we optimize enough, hustle enough, automate enough, check off enough, we'll eventually earn the life we want. So we fill our days with systems, to-do lists, color-coded calendars, pomodoros, bullet journals, productivity hacks. We start treating time like a machine to be squeezed instead of a landscape to be explored. And at first it works. You feel efficient, in control, accomplished. But something strange happens over time. You're more productive than ever, but you feel less present. You're getting things done, but not the things that matter. You've built a perfect routine, but you don't remember how it feels to be alive inside it. That's the productivity trap. You start living to serve your schedule, instead of your schedule serving your life. And eventually, your calendar is full, but your heart is not. So what's the shift? It begins with one decision. Your calendar should reflect your values, not just your obligations. Think about it. If someone looked at your schedule, would they see what you care about? Would they see your priorities or just your responsibilities? Because what you plan becomes what you live, and what you don't plan slowly disappears. If you don't make space for joy, it gets replaced by urgency. If you don't carve time for connection, it gets lost in convenience. If you don't prioritize rest, your body will eventually force it. We think we're too busy to plan for what matters. But the truth is, we're too afraid. Because once you put your values on your calendar, you're responsible for honoring them. And that requires courage. So what does a life schedule look like? It's not about throwing away structure. It's about starting with soul, not tasks. Before you open your calendar app, ask yourself, what experiences make me feel most alive? What moments do I want more of in my week? What kind of person do I want to become? And how can I schedule time to practice being that person? Then block time for those things first, not after work, not if there's time. First, maybe it's 20 minutes of quiet reading each morning, or a walk without your phone, or cooking dinner with music playing and no rush, or calling your mom every Thursday evening, or dancing, meditating, journaling, sitting in silence. These aren't luxuries, they're anchors. They remind you that you're not a machine. You're a human. And humans need rhythm, not just routine. Here's the evolution. Once you build your life schedule, you'll notice something shift. Work still gets done, maybe better than before, but it no longer consumes your identity. You stop measuring your days by output and start measuring them by meaning. You begin to see time not as something to beat, but as something to honor. You stop trying to fit your life into leftover time and instead build your time around the life you actually want to live. And slowly, you become someone different, not because you changed your job, not because you added more hours, but because you finally chose to live on purpose. So here's a question to end with. What's one thing that matters deeply to you that isn't on your calendar? What if, starting this week, you gave it a name and a time slot? What if your life was no longer something you fit around work, but something you built first and fiercely protected? Because the truth is, your calendar is more than a plan. It's a mirror, and what it reflects back to you should feel like you. Chapter 7. To live truly is to walk alone. He didn't look like someone who had figured it out. Not at first. When I met him, he was tired. Not just the I need sleep kind of tired, but the kind that lives in your bones. A quiet exhaustion, from living a life that didn't feel like his. He had done everything right, went to a good school, got a stable job, made decent money. Everyone around him was proud, but he wasn't. He told me, "It's like I'm checking off someone else's list. And every time I do, I feel less like myself." That's when he began to unravel it all, not by quitting everything overnight, not by burning bridges or running away, but by asking one question every single day: what if I could choose again? At first it was small. He started saying no to things that drained him. He stopped trying to impress people he didn't even like. He made time for walks again, without podcasts, without his phone, just him and the wind. He reconnected with old passions, picked up the guitar he hadn't touched in years, started journaling, not to be productive, but to hear his own voice again. Then bigger shifts came. He changed how he worked. He set boundaries. He left a career that no longer fit, not because it failed, but because it was no longer his. And for the first time in years, he felt light. Not because life got easier, but because it got real. He started living on his own terms. Not louder, not flashier, but truer. Truer. And that made him different. People noticed. Some were confused, some curious, some even uncomfortable. Because when you stop performing and start being, you stop making sense to those still stuck in the performance. But here's the thing. The ones who truly live are always a little different. They say no more often. They move slower. They speak softer, but with more clarity. They smile, not because everything is perfect, but because they're at peace with who they are. They're not driven by approval. They're grounded in presence. They walk through life like it's sacred, because to them, it is. You can see it in their eyes. They're here, not stuck in the past, not chasing the future, just here, fully inhabiting their time, their body, their choice. They don't follow every trend. They don't hustle for validation. They don't trade their truth for convenience. They live with an inner compass, and that makes them magnetic, not because they're better, but because they're awake. And here's the most important part. You don't have to be special to live this way. You don't need perfect discipline or a dramatic life change. You just need to decide, this is my life, and I will no longer live it on someone else's terms. It starts with a choice, then another, then 100 more. Tiny rebellions against the noise. Tiny returns to yourself. You begin to rebuild a life that feels like home, even if no one else understands it, because no one else has to. Let's not forget, no one lives for you. No one dreams for you. No one sits with your regrets at the end of your life. So why let anyone else decide how you spend your time? You are not here to impress. You are here to experience. You are not here to survive the noise. You are here to remember your song and sing it fully, wildly, without apology. Because you too can be one of those different people. The kind who chose presence over performance, truth over tradition, life over noise. The kind who didn't just exist, but truly, intentionally lived. So, we've been on a journey, not through theories, not through hacks, but through truths, the kind we often avoid. We talked about how the time slips through our fingers, how we confuse being busy with being alive, how presence has become a lost art, how most of us follow calendars that don't reflect who we are, and how real living begins when we take ownership of our days. And now we're here, at the part no one else can walk for you, the part where you choose, not someday, not next week, not when it's more convenient, now. Because nothing changes until you do, and nothing shifts until you decide to stop postponing your life. Here's what you already know in your heart. Time is your most precious currency. Busyness is not a badge, it's a distraction. Life doesn't happen by default. It happens by design. And you are the only one who can choose what that design looks like. So the real question is, will you act or will you keep delaying? Will you create space to live with intention or keep chasing a checklist that never ends? Will you protect your time like it matters or keep giving it away like it doesn't? Will you reclaim your life or keep waiting for permission that will never come? If something in you stirred during this video, don't ignore it. Start small. Try a time budget for just one day. Schedule life first, not just work. Protect even 10 minutes of real presence. And ask yourself every evening, did I live today or just exist? Because if you do that, day by day, breath by breath, you won't just feel more alive. You'll become more alive. And if this video meant something to you, don't let it fade into the scroll. Subscribe for more content that brings you back to yourself. Comment, what part hit you the hardest? Try the time budget and come back to tell me how it went. Share this with one person who's been surviving instead of living. Because this message isn't just for you. It's for the version of you that's still waiting. And maybe, just maybe, this is the moment they finally wake up.